Ladies and gentlemen, warm greetings from Kota Kinabalu, Sabah. I'm Nigel and I will be your MC for this program. On behalf of the organizer, the Sabah Economic Development and Investment Authority, SEDIA, I wish you all a warm welcome to our webinar entitled Sabah's Tourism Opportunities, where investment and leisure meet. As you may well be aware, Sabah is a Malaysian state on the island of Borneo and is well recognized as a tourism destination. Even so, our state's industry still has a lot of potential that has yet to be tapped into, and we would like to build your interest in being a part of this journey of growth and development. So please allow our knowledgeable speakers to inform your decision on whether Sabah will be the landing point for your next investment venture. Before we get started, let's go over a few housekeeping rules to ensure a seamless experience for everyone. For ease of identification, we greatly appreciate everyone's cooperation to update your username to the following format. Please have the name of your organization first, followed by your full name. Interaction during this event will only be through the Q&A submission box at the bottom of the screen. Participants are able to submit relevant questions through this box at any time from the start of the first paper, and we will be compiling these questions for the speakers to address later during the Q&A session. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's begin our program with the keynote address and official launching. On behalf of the organizer, we would like to convey apologies from our keynote speaker, Datuk Sri Panglima Haji Hashim bin Paijan, the Chief Executive of SEDIA, as he is unable to join us live this morning due to other pressing commitments. However, he is gracing our event with a pre-recorded message. So please sit back as we play the keynote address from Datuk Sri Panglima Haji Hashim bin Paijan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera and a very good morning. To our esteemed speakers, Yang Berusaha Dr. McLaren bin Lakim, Director of Sabah Parks, and from Sabah Tourism Board, Puan Halimah Haji Hassan, Senior Manager of Product Divisions. Also to our distinguished participants from the High Commissions, Embassies and Consulates, Federal and State Ministries and Agencies, Private Sector, Chamber of Commerce, as well as tour and travel agencies, and all of SEDIA's strategic partners. It gives me great pleasure to welcome all of you to SEDIA's webinar entitled Sabah's Tourism Opportunities, where investment and leisure meet. Ladies and gentlemen, the tourism industry plays a critical role in a country's economy, prosperity, and growth, in particular for service industries dependent countries. It had been most unfortunate that the COVID-19 pandemic struck, causing severe turmoil and difficulty for hospitality and tourism industries across the globe. Such was the impact that in the first half of 2020, tourist arrival fell globally by more than 65%, with a near complete halt since April. Sabah's tourism sector also saw tourism's arrival drop more than 70%, reducing the number of visitors from exceeding 4 million to less than 1 million. However, since the reopening of international borders on April 1st, 2022, Sabah's tourism industry is starting to see signs of recovery. People are eager to travel again and are making plans to visit new destinations or return to their favorite vacation spots. This renewed interest in travel has led to a surge in demand for flights, hotels, and other tourist services. Sabah has set a target of welcoming 2.2 million international arrivals this year. Sabah is a wonderful destination for ecotourism with vast tropical rainforests, beautiful islands and beaches, wildlife nature reserve, and the majestic Mount Kinabalu. While much effort will be needed to recapture Sabah's past successes, the government as well as as well as industry stakeholders, are positive of a steady recovery. The Sabah government is stepping up efforts to revive and further develop the tourism sector, allocating 134.6 million ringgit or $30 million in the 2023 budget to support the State Tourism, Culture and Environment Ministry. After a difficult 2020 and 2021, Sabah is predicted to maintain a positive economic growth in 2020 and 2023 at a rate of 4.0 to 5.0% respectively, in line with the current global and national economic development. Ladies and gentlemen, this webinar aims to create awareness on the potential of Sabah tourism industry to explore investment opportunities in a sustainable, holistic and inclusive approach, as well as to build linkages and strategic partnership with collaborators and investors. To facilitate this, the SEDIA Investment Promotion Unit under SEDIA is proactively taking initiative to promote and increase Sabah visibility through their investment outreach campaigns. Before I end my speech, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Sabah Parks on achieving the UNESCO Triple Crown through Kinabalu National Geopark's recent recognitions as the Kinabalu UNESCO Global Park. Sabah has now become the third place in the world to have a UNESCO Triple Crown site. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to convey my thanks and appreciation to all our partners and participants that play their respective roles in ensuring the success of this webinar. With that, I hereby launch the webinar entitled Sabah Tourism Opportunities, Where Investment and Leisure Meet. May this webinar provide all our participants with key informations towards your decision to invest in Sabah and lead to meaningful relationships between the SEDIA Investment Promotions Unit and tourism stakeholders. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Our deepest appreciation to Datuk Sri Panglima Haji Hashim bin Farjan for launching our webinar. Your remarks have surely provided our participants with valuable information on Sabah's tourism industry and overall economic development. To complement our Chief Executive's keen insight, we have a short promotional video on Sabah's tourism industry, courtesy of the SEDIA Investment Promotion Unit. SEDIA IP is a dedicated unit within SEDIA that actively promotes and facilitates inward investment in Sabah, providing various support services to investors to assist in their business and investment expansion. Ladies and gentlemen, please sit back and enjoy a brief promo video. I hope everyone has enjoyed tuning into our program thus far. As we move on to the presentation, the sequence follows with the three speakers presenting their respective papers first, before we then proceed to a collective question and answer session. Participants are able to submit relevant questions through the question and answer submission box at any time, and we will compile these questions for the speakers to address later during the Q&A session. When submitting your questions, please also introduce yourself and the company or organization that you represent. Please also state which speaker your question is directed at. Should there be any questions that remain unanswered by the conclusion of the event, don't worry, as we will have a response sent to you post-event through your given contact details. Ladies and gentlemen, to kick things off, we have Kevin George Ukang, the Chief Investment Officer of SEDIA. A little bit of background information on our opening speaker. Mr. Kevin Ukang is a civil and construction engineering graduate who also possesses a Master of Business Administration. As a professional with over a decade of diversified engineering experience, Mr. Kevin first joined SEDIA in 2009 and has served in various capacities, including the Project Management Department, Development Planning Division, and the Chief Executive's Office. He now helms the Investment Development Section as the Chief Investment Officer. This morning, he will be presenting his paper entitled SDC and Tourism Beyond the Pandemic. Kevin Ukang, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, MC, and very good morning to all. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to both panelists, Puan Halimah Hassan from Sabah Tourism Board and Dr. McLaren Lakim from Sabah Parks. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much to all of you for attending our tourism outreach webinar. The title of my presentation this morning is Introduction to Sabah Development Corridor and Tourism Beyond Pandemic. In this presentation, I will share briefly on SEDIA and Sabah Development Corridor before going into tourism ecosystem in Sabah. I hope today's sharing session will be able to give you the holistic picture of Sabah and attract your intention to invest in Sabah, the land below the wind. Sabah Development Corridor, or SDC, is one of 5 regional corridors in Malaysia. SEDIA is one-stop authority to drive Sabah Development Corridor initiatives. Established in 2009, SEDIA is a state and federal authority mandated to spur the economic growth in order to attract inward investment into Sabah. The chairman of SEDIA is the Honorary Chief Minister of Sabah, and the members of authority consist of Chief Secretary, Treasury, Economic Planning unit from both state and federal. SEDIA is a facilitation center for investors. Our close collaboration with state and federal agencies like MITI and MIDA, together with other state ministries in the state of Sabah, enable us to streamline the investment process. On top of that, we are sitting in several committees, especially National Committee of Investment, co-chaired by Minister of Finance and Minister of Trade and Investment, which is held on weekly basis to fast-track investment approval and incentive. To sum it up, we handhold investors from attraction up to post-operation stage. The next slide is Sabah Development Corridor Blueprint. This is the framework of Sabah Development Corridor 2.0. We envision to be competitive, inclusive, and sustainable corridor by the year 2030. The target of SDC is to achieve 95 billion ringgit private investment and creating 70,000 job opportunities with the hope that to inject additional 20 billion to our state GDP. The main sector under the blueprints are manufacturing, agriculture, logistics, and tourism, and it was supported by 5 main strategic thrusts. There are 30 initiatives derived from 5 strategic thrusts, which SEDIA owns several flagship projects. while the remaining initiatives were co-driven with other ministries and agencies. My focus today will be the three main tourism initiatives, which I will elaborate later. Let's move on to overview of Sabah. Sabah is one of 13 states in Malaysia with a size more than 73,000 square kilometers. Being the second largest state, we have 3.4 population comprises of more than 30 ethnic groups. Sabah is rich in natural resources and biodiversity. And our Kinabalu National Park has recently been recognized as UNESCO Triple Crown Site, one of the only three in the world. Economically, Sabah is the sixth highest GDP contributor to Malaysia's economy, recorded at 78 billion ringgit in 2021. Last year itself, Sabah has attracted up to 11.5 billion private investment from various sectors. The next one will be Kota Kinabalu, Sabah's state capital. Formerly known as Chesterton during the colonial era, has undergone transformation in the past 1 decade to cater for increasing demand. Kota Kinabalu has international school, banks, international hotel chains, and private healthcare provider to cater for local and investors' needs. Rest assured, should you setting up your business in Sabah, SEDIA would offer our facilitation to your administrative needs. The following few slides will be focusing on tourism. Over the past 5 years, from 2018 up to last year, Sabah has attracted up to 3.72 billion tourism investment and created over 4,000 new jobs, 95 of them for local Sabahans. Last month, World Health Organization has announced that COVID-19 is no longer a public health emergency of international concern. It is Sabah's hope that we could re-engineer the growth in tourism sector post-pandemic. Let us look into some tourism statistics. Sabah has been experienced healthy growth in tourism arrival since 2008 up to 2019 and recorded 4.2 million arrivals and 9 billion in tourism received. Our growth was hampered by the global COVID-19 pandemic phenomenon in 2020. Since the reopening of Malaysia border on the 1st April last year, we in Sabah observed inclination in our tourist arrival, and we hope for continuous growth in the years to come. Why Sabah? In this slide, I would like to recap why Sabah is your preferred investment destination. Sabah is strategically located within Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, East Asia growth area, accounted for more than 90 million population. Moreover, we will have the advantage with the relocation of capital city of Indonesia to Nusantara in East Kalimantan. Prior to pandemic, the largest tourist into Sabah is from China, and we are confident that the number will grow based on the current trend. If you look at our GDP, 47 of it contributed from services sector and predominantly from tourism value chain. We also have Sabah International Convention Center that can host MICE event. The World Tourism Conference was held here in December last year, and Sabah International Expo 2023 will be held in September this year. Our 33 ethnic group communicates in various dialects, but English is widely spoken in Sabah. For infrastructure, the government currently is developing Pan-Borneo Highway to accelerate infrastructure development to improve inter-district connectivity. A total length of 706 km road will provide safe travels, time saving, and most importantly, toll-free. At this moment, we have 100 international flights weekly operated by 11 airlines to 10 international destinations. Just 2 days ago, Sabah had just received inaugural flight from South Korea operated by Tiwai Airlines. Kota Kinabalu International Airport, or KKIA, is well designed to cater for passenger growth. At this moment, it was designed up to 9 million peak passenger hour, and with the option to expand the terminal for up to 18 million peak passenger hour. There are 3 initiatives focusing on tourism in SDC. Sabah Gold Coast Enclave, referring to the 130-kilometer stretch of long sandy beach from Tuaran up to the northern tip of Sabah. The state of Sabah encouraged the development of international resort, golf courses, holiday homes, exclusive villa, and theme parks. Whereas both Sabah Premium Eco Adventure and Borneo Marine Paradise Initiative will capitalize on the premier natural asset in various locations under Sabah Parks, which Dr. McLaren will elaborate later. The next few slides, I would like to share some promoted tourism activities available in Sabah. For Greater Kota Kinabalu, the waterfront city, despite current density of businesses in the city, in the middle of the city, we are still able to cope for inward investment in water park to complement with integrated resort. Kota Kinabalu port strategic location has made it became the port of call past seasons. We welcome any investor in cruise line operation to collaborate with us to develop international cruise terminal adjacent to the Sabah International Convention Center. As I mentioned before in my previous slide, they would like to capitalize on the long coastline. The opportunities not only lies in the development of beach resorts, but also cultural center and recreational vehicle and campsite, especially after the completion of Pen Borneo. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate Sabah Parks in their effort. Kinabalu National Park is being recognized as UNESCO Triple Crown Site just last month. Under our joint collaboration, we just completed a comprehensive master plan for 2 sites within Kinabalu Geopark, namely Pouring Hot Springs and Mesilau. There are several promoted activities such as exclusive villa and related wellness tourism open for inquiry. There are also 6 marine parks under the jurisdiction of Sabah Parks, which promoted activities included, but not limited to, island tourism and water park. We want companies that invest in Sabah make sustainable profits. Hence, we will facilitate you by incentivize your investment. Under Sabah Development Corridor, we are offering 100% income tax exemption for 10 years or 100% investment tax allowance on qualifying expenditure up to 5 years. Other incentives include waiver of stamp duty and exemption of import and sales tax. For human capital development, SEDIA has launched Sabah Development Corridor Skill and Talent Enhancement Program. The offerings include place and train, job matching, place and train, home training for cottage industry, and also hiring subsidies. This is to increase employability in the job market. This is my last slide. Again, we are an agency to provide support to investors. Our service include location or site scanning, data resource, company registration, support for application of permit and licenses, familiarization visit, stakeholders coordination, and post-operation support. With that, thank you very much from Kota Kinabalu, your gateway to Borneo Natural Wonder.
Thank you, Mr. Kevin, for that insightful paper. Our audience surely appreciates building up on the economic information. Thank you, Mr. Kevin, for that insightful paper. Our audience surely appreciates building up on the economic information that started with our keynote address as well as being informed on how SEDIA Investment Promotion Unit can facilitate investment into Sabah. Let's keep the momentum going by diving headfirst into the tourism industry. Our second speaker is Madam Halima Haji Hassan, a Senior Product Manager in the Sabah Tourism Board. Madam Halima Haji Hassan is a graduate of Hawaii Pacific University, possessing a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration with a major in Travel Industry Management. Her career in Sabah began as a project assistant and administration officer for two different international collaboration programs at the Institute for Tropical Biology and Conservation in University Malaysia Sabah. She first joined the Sabah Tourism Board in 2006 as a product research manager, where she was closely involved in the monitoring of ecotourism product development projects. In her 17 years of service with the Sabah Tourism Board, she had the opportunity to join the marketing team, overseeing the domestic and Brunei market beginning in 2018. Madam Halima Haji Hassan, we welcome you to present your paper entitled Feel Sabah, North Borneo.
Thank you, Nigel. I'd like to thank SEDIA for inviting Sabah Tourism Board to be one of the speakers for this today's webinar. Okay, my title of presentation, okay, let me share. The title of my presentation will be Feel Sabah, North Borneo. This is actually the new tagline for Sabah Tourism Board, which was actually launched at the world's largest tourism trade fair in ITB Berlin in March 2023. Okay. The content of my presentation will include the structure overview, tourism overview, the types of tourism in Sabah, and also I will end with the Feel Sabah video. We start with the structure overview. The Sabah Tourism Board, or generally as Sabah Tourism, is an agency of the Sabah state government under the purview of the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Environment, Sabah. So the chart above depicts good governance under one roof, of which tourism, culture and environment are all under the same ministry, which should make it easier to craft the right policies and ensure that everyone from the private sector and to the local communities are moving in the same direction. So if you see the agencies under the Ministry of Tourism alongside Sabah Tourism Board, we have Sabah Parks, Department of Wildlife, we have Environment Protection Department, Sabah Museum, and Sabah State Cultural Board. So under Sabah Tourism Board, we have our subsidiary company, the Sri Pelancongan Sabah. Sabah Tourism Board, our vision is to market position Sabah, Malaysian Borneo as the premier culture, adventure, and nature destination in the world. Our mission is, of course, to form smart partnership with tourism stakeholders towards adopting and complying with sustainable practices. So with the Sri Pelancongan Sabah, our subsidiary company, it complements Sabah Tourism Board functions in organizing premier events and promoting authentic local handicraft via Kadai Pool. So a little bit of tourism overview. So we start with the visitor arrivals to Sabah. And external factors throughout 2000 to 2020. If you see, as you can see, the chart depicts that in general, tourism is resilience. Whenever we face external factors, the arrival will always bounce back, but pandemic COVID-19 causing our visitors' arrival to abruptly decline more than 90% in 2021. Historically, from 2010 to 2019, our visitor arrivals and tourism receipts are at 6.8% yearly growth and 10.5% yearly growth in terms of visitor arrivals and tourism receipts, respectively. Visitor arrivals to Sabah, the graph depicts the performance of visitors' arrival to Sabah in 2022, which Sabah recorded a recovery of 41.2% in total, of domestic and international from pre-pandemic. Increase in domestic arrival by 53.1% from pre-pandemic. Domestic is actually previously pre-pandemic, it's two-thirds of the arrival to Sabah. We are actually, for 2023, we are targeting to a 2.2 million visitors arrival, which will be 52% to 60% from pre-pandemic levels. For 2023 performance, as at January to April 2023, we can see an increase of 57.6% of total arrivals to Sabah from pre-pandemic levels, of which 47% from pre-pandemic for international. This is due to the opening of international border, reopening of international border. So basically, we can see that we are gearing towards recovery. For January, April, this chart is showing the January, April 2023 compared to January to April 2022. If you can, from here, you can see that our main target market are actually doing good, on track towards recovery. International flights, air connectivity. If you see here from the chart, from this slide, pre-pandemic, this was in 2019. The frequency of flights, weekly flights to Sabah was 236, with capacity of 41,100 seats from 22 destinations. It shows that the air connectivity is crucial to Sabah, as more than 90% of the visitors' arrival to Sabah is by air. So before the pandemic, KK International Airport was the busiest airport in Malaysia after Kuala Lumpur, having the 22 international destinations coming in with the 236 flights frequency. At the moment, all international flight services are slightly improving. I mean, we have, if I can show you in the next slide. Air accessibility, as at 1st June 2023, if you can see, we have an increase in flight compared to the from the domestic flights is increasing 376, of which pre-COVID it was 445, and now we are lack of 15.5% to achieve it. Okay. In terms of hotel sector, for Sabah hotel supply, you can see from the chart, we have out of the 685 hotels, we only have 13 5-star and 16 4-star hotels. The 45% of the hotels are actually non-rated. So we welcome hotel investment especially in the East Coast area, and perhaps in the rural areas, we can have more investment on hotel with the chains, international chain. The reasons for choosing Sabah as a holiday destination, from the chart here. This is from the International Visitor Profile Survey in 2019 by Sabah Tourism Board Research Division. The Asian markets, such as China and South Korea, prefer beach and island attractions, while the English-speaking markets, UK and Australia, prefer nature and wildlife. With high biodiversity and vast natural resources such as nature and wildlife, great diving spots, marine and terrestrial parks, Sabah is an excellent destination for ecotourism. Feel Sabah North Borneo. It's a land of eco treasures from mountain to ocean peak. Sabah has a wide range of natural and cultural assets that make ecotourism a highly beneficial, sustainable, and long-term form of tourism. Sabah is blessed with immensely diverse eco-culture and rich marine life, reefs, and rainforest. Sabah is evergreen with about 50% of its area tree cover, including permanent forest reserve, estates, and parks. So, feel Sabah, North Borneo. So we welcome you to come and feel Sabah for its various nature and culture-based attractions, as well as adventure-based activities ranging from soft, medium to hard. If you can see, we have all sorts of tourism here. We have ecotourism, sustainable tourism, and we are gearing towards sustainable and responsible tourism with the aggressive promotion for community-based tourism, where we have engagement of community participation in tourism industry. The map outlined the various districts of Sabah with its flagship and complementary products activities. We have actually helping the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Environment to activate the Tourism Action Committee Council at each district. So with the activation of this District Tourism Action Council, we have more rural tourism products being identified, developed and promoted to complement the existing flagship attractions. These are some of the international recognition of ecotourism sites in Sabah. Yeah, I would like to congratulate Sabah Parks for earning the Triple Crown due to this one, the achievement of this UNESCO World Heritage Site, UNESCO Man and Biosphere Reserve for the Croc Range Park, and also the recent Global Geopark. So we also have the ecotourism sites recognized by Ramsar, which is the Lower Kinabatangan Segama Wetlands, Kota Kinabalu Wetland. We also have important bird areas in Sabah. It's actually more than this list, but I'll just show you this based on the next slides. So Croc Range Biosphere Reserve is one of the ecotourism sites. This is one of the Sabah's largest terrace geopark. It's shared by 9 districts. They have allocated a community use zone. So for this, the community are able to engage in community-based tourism as well as rural tourism. See, if you see from here, the total population in the Croc Range Biosphere Reserve is around 99,000 with 399 villages. So in the buffer zone, the 52 villages in total are confirmed small-scale agriculture, where they can venture into agritourism activities. Ecotourism sites, we also have Lower Kinabatangan Segama Wetlands and Kota Kinabalu Wetland. This is our international recognition, which really boosts the ecotourism status of the areas. Tower Hills Park, this is also a terrestrial park under Sabah Parks. It is a home to 3 extinct volcanic mountains, the Mount Magdalena, Mount Lucia, and Mount Maria. It was also the home for the previous tallest tropical trees in Sabah. Currently, the latest world's tallest tropical tree is in Danum Valley Conservation Area. Okay. Kinabatangan is also one of the ecotourism sites. So it's a forest corridor. They have initiatives to have to defragment the wildlife corridors. This is where people, wildlife, tourism, and industry thrive to support Kinabatangan floodplain. It is one of the richest wildlife per unit area on Earth, according to Sir David Attenborough. We also, in terms of ecotourism sites, we also have conservation areas, research, environmental education, and ecotourism. We have Danum Valley, we have Maliau Basin. We also have Imbak Canyon. These are the forest areas concession to Yayasan Sabah for research, environmental education, and conservation, as well as ecotourism. Okay, we move on to the community-based tourism, because for your information, Sabah Tourism Board has been focusing and aggressively promoting community-based tourism since 2014 with its pilot sites, Kiulu and Kadamayan. Community-based tourism, as you see the definition, it's an activity, tourism activity, community-owned, operated and managed or coordinated at the community level that contributes to the well-being of communities through supporting sustainable livelihoods and protecting valued social cultural traditions, and natural and cultural heritage resources. One of the mechanisms for the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Environment to protect of natural resources, tourism assets is through participation of the local community in tourism industry, be it through rural or community-based tourism. So basically, the rural tourism activities encompasses the following. It is culture-based, adventure-based, and nature-based. These are some of activities of the community-based tourism. This is Marais village located in Tanam. Community-based tourism in both rural and suburban areas, they showcase their products, attractions based on nature, culture, adventure, and also agritourism. These are some of the community-based tourisms in the rural area. This is Tagal. Tagal means prohibition in the Dusun language, where the community are not allowed to fish until certain period of time. So this is part of conservation effort as well for the community. This is part of adventure tourism that we have. This is managed by the community. This is ecotourism Kampung Tiang Lama Ranau. It's a great geotourism formation. We also have agrotourism in Kampung Kiau Nulu. Apart from agrotourism, they also have conservation, forest conservation, which is led by the Gompito. This is Kampung Kiau Nulu is one of the kampung which is considered as one of the cultural biosite under the Kinabalu Global Geopark. So this, if you see the slide, you can experience traditional coffee processing in Kampung Kiau Nulu, the high altitude place. For your information, the owner, the coordinator of Guasnabalu Homestay, they actually encourage smallholders of coffee farm to revive their farm and to supply to the coffee production. We also have women of the Kampung Kiau Nulu. This is after the earthquake in Sabah in 2016. The Good Shepherd has actually guided them to process pineapple from raw to the processed ones. The next one, Kampung Batu Putih, Kinabatangan, has won the Best Tourism Village in 2021. So they were the first in Malaysia to have to be recognized by UNWTO. So this is due to their community-based tourism, and they also have conservation effort. Kopel Batu Putih is actually one of the concessionaire of Forest Reserve for the Lake Conservation Initiative. So the Sabah Forestry Department concessioned some parts of the area for tree planting and also lake conservation for the community. So this list, if you can see, for your information, our community-based tourism operators, they have been awarded with ASEAN Community-Based Tourism Awards and also Homestay Awards. These are the past recipients. If you see Kopel Mungkin Batu Putih Kinabatangan, they are the first to receive both awards for their Miso Walai Homestay as well. We also have ASEAN Sustainable Tourism Awards recipients. So for this, we would like to encourage, we are training the community and rural tourism operators to be able to comply and adopt the ASEAN Standard Awards by ASEAN Standards towards 2030. The picture shows the recent award, the recent ASEAN Awards received by Homestay Town Busi, Mari Mari Cultural Village, and also Padas Farm Stay. That's Mr. Tamiao Kong there. This is a prestigious ASEAN Awards. So for this, way forward for community-based tourism in Sabah, Sabah Tourism the Ministry of Tourism through Sabah Tourism Board, we are aiming to have all the community-based tourism and homestay in Sabah to be certified with the ASEAN standards, tourism standards. We are also aiming to have them to adopt and comply with the sustainable development goals. So for these initiatives, we are currently, the Ministry of Tourism are allocating an amount of fund for training the local communities towards these sustainable development goals. So we welcome maybe some of the investors would like to venture into capacity building for the local community in Sabah. Okay, that's all my presentation. So I will end with a Feel Sabah video. With that video, I end my presentation. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you weren't already convinced of the vibrancy of Sabah's tourism industry, I'm sure Madam Halima made a compelling argument for you to get on the next flight to Sabah. On behalf of our audience, thank you, Madam Halima. To round things off, we have Dr. Maclaren bin Lakim, the Director of Sabah Parks. Dr. Maclaren bin Lakim holds bachelor's and master's degrees from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, with the latter being a Master's of Science in Biodiversity Management. Dr. Maclaren further enhanced his credentials with a PhD in Climate Ecology from University Malaysia Sabah in 2008. His career began in 1991 as a research assistant at the Dunham Valley Conservation Area and later joined Sabah Parks in 1992 as a park manager. Beginning in January 2020, Dr. Maclaren has served as the director of Sabah Parks. We are certainly very fortunate to have Dr. McLaren here today, as he has vast experience attending international seminars, including the 2014 World Park Congress in Sydney, the 2019 Asia Conservation Forum in Islamabad, and most recently, the 2022 UNEP Convention on Biological Diversity, COP15, to name a few. Presenting his paper on prospective ecotourism investment sites within Sabah parks, let us welcome Dr. McLaren bin Lakim.
Assalamualaikum, a very good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Master Chair. Nigel, I will present my paper. I share my screen. Can you see, Nigel, my screen?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, I continue. Okay. So, prospective ecotourism investment sites within Sabah Parks area. I purposely use the photo, the bee and the flower as a metaphor of my presentation. Nigel, how to move this? Anna, I cannot move my slides.
Oh, Doctor, you can just click on the slide. It should move to the next slide.
Yeah, I do, but cannot move. Oh, okay. Very slow. So this is the pyramid of the contents of my presentation. Unique places in Sabah, yes, preserve, knowing Sabah parks, tourism sites for conservation, our strategic planning, selected sites for investment, selected marine sites, other potential sites, global ecology, our way forward, and to conclusion. Nigel, again, maybe I need your help from your side to control. I cannot move. So this is a unique places of Sabah. Yes, we preserve since about 60 years all exclusivity. So meaning that all of our parks will be a haven for ecotourism investment in the future. So Sabah Parks is a bond of trustees. We simplify as Sabah Parks as statutory body under the Parks Enactment 1984. Since previously Parks Ordinance 1963, as Madam Halima has been shared with us, we are under the same Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Environment, and currently we are about 6 months shy from our Diamond Jubilee for our retirement age of 60 years. And now we have nine parks, which is 3 terrestrial parks and 6 marine parks. So our mission is to preserve areas in Sabah that contain outstanding natural values and heritage for the benefit of the people now and in the future. So basically, we only like guardian of the nature that we preserve as parks. And our vision is people of Sabah live in harmony with nature. So this is the photo is our board members or board meeting where this decision is made, and we are in the team of management headed by myself, and we do all the things that decided by the board. So currently we have ecotourism sites for conservation. Actually, all of our park is for conservation purpose, but we need something like fund, like money, in order for us to conserve that well enough. Yeah. So the terrestrial parks is Kinabalu Park, Tower Hills Park, Prokarange Park, the green area, and Tunku Abdul Rahman Park in the Kota Kinabalu, Total Islands in Sandakan, Pulau Tiga Park in the Kuala Punyo, Tun Sakaran Marine Park in Simporna, Sipadan Island Park in Simporna, and Tun Mustafa Park in the northern part of Sabah, the largest marine park in Sabah that we have now. So we need the fund generation for the conservation of all of this park. We create a recreation zone within all parks, and this provide ecotourism endeavor for our investor. So this is our strategic plan since 2015 to 2025. We are not far away from the conclusion of this plan, but in 1992 we have prepared a holistic management plan in terms of roles and function. And in 2009 we formulated a new strategic plan launched in 2014 and implemented in 2 phases in 2015 to 2019, halted by the earthquake of Mount Kinabalu in the beginning of its implementation. And the second phase is 2020 to 2025, also halted by the pandemic event, but we still going strong with this plan. And our vision is people of Sabah live in harmony with nature. So under this strategic plan, we have 7 goals, 7 long-term goals. That is a tropical ecosystem research excellence, nature tourism hotspot, where we are talking about this morning, exciting nature education, world-class park management, financially strong, and digitalization in line with the state government aspiration of digitizing all of our operation. And the 7 is symbiotic harmony with stakeholders. So this is the book. So this is our, under the strategic plan, we depend on the tourist arrival many thanks to the Sabah Tourism Board for promoting our places like Port Orange Park as well as Tower Hills Park, where we will receive the tourists. Prior to the pandemic COVID, we received close to 2 million visitors annually. So this is the figure. And currently we are also actually developing to reach again the 2019 figure. So selected terrestrial sites, I introduced to you Kinabalu Park as a study case that where we can invest inside the park. For example, we have a Serin Sim substation in the northern part of Kinabalu. This is Kinabalu Park map, which is comparable to the size of Singapore Island. So you can imagine the size. So this is Serin Sim, and this is Masilau. Mr. Kevin also mentioned the Masilau as well as Poring here, but this is opportunities for any investor to invest something to build or to develop resorts or whatever facilities for tourism activities inside the park. So this is some of the criteria, the route like Serin Sim substation here, as well as Masilau substation, what we can do. But Madam Halima has shared with us the types of activities that we will be able to do inside the parks. So this is, for example, Serin Sim substation. We call it a recreation zone, actually protected area, but we open for public, and we call it recreation zone, and we invite people to go and to enjoy this area, the pristine area, and we collect money. So that is the how we get fund, additional fund, in order to conserve this area. So this is Masilau substation affected during the 2015 earthquake, and we closed after that since until now. But we are redeveloping this area, as Mr. Kevin mentioned earlier in his briefing. We are redeveloping this area after that happening. Another marine sites, I take Tun Mustafa Park as an example. Like we have Simpang Mangayau here in the northern tip of Borneo, actually under the STB jurisdiction. But the sea area of this area is under the jurisdiction of Tun Mustafa Park under the Sabah Parks. So we have islands like Supirak Island, Siplai Krok, Balambangan Island, the Cape area also outside of the park, but the sea area of that particular island is under the jurisdiction of Sabah Parks. So this is a Simpang Mangayao, Balambangan Island, and the localities of the cave at Balambangan Island. The sea area is under the park, but the island itself is under somewhere else, belong to someone. But we can, I think, working together and developing the facility here, so we will be benefited together. So this is Batu Supirak, the a rock island, look like a shape, also very interesting. Also slightly outside of the park. This is probably the border of the park, but we can also work together and develop this area for our benefits. So other unique sites in the surrounding of Sabah as well as within the park areas, I use the map. This is the map of Tunku Abdul Rahman Park. This is Pulau Tiga Park, the one of the sandbar at the Kuala Penyong inside the park. This is the Crocker Range Park map, which is twice the size of Singapore. And this is Tower Hills Park, where the gigantic tropical trees exist here, as Madam Halima mentioned, and the size is about half the size of Singapore. And similarly, Tun Sekaran Marine Park with beautiful lagoon somewhere here, also half the size of Singapore. And the tiny Turtle Islands Park, but very big in terms of total conservation works here. And this is part of the Turtle Island Heritage Protected Area Transboundary Park. So other unique sites, I use photo to convince you, please come to this area. After over nearing 60 years of conserving, this is the primary capital for adventure and nature tourism that we have inside the Sabah parks. Turtle Islands and Tunku Abdul Rahman Park, the oldest marine park in Malaysia in 1974, the Crocker Range Park, Tun Sekaran Marine Park, the beautiful lagoon, the Sipadan Island, deserted in 2009, Sabah Park, the latest park that we have now. And we are aspiring to add another at least 3 sites in Sabah, like Darwal Bay, like Bantanani Island, to be included in the park system here. So our global accolades in nearing our 60 years, we are happy to note and thanks Dr. Sri Panglima Hashim, Mr. Kevin and Halima for mentioning the Triple Crown. Kinabalu Park, our heritage site since December 2000. Crocker Range Park as a Crocker Range Biosphere Reserve in 2015. And Kinabalu Park, another a global geopark about 3 weeks ago, not even 1 month, 3 weeks ago. And prior to that, actually, we have ASEAN Heritage Park at Kinabalu Park in 2004. And Transboundary Marine Protected Area, the iconic, world iconic protected area in the name of Turtle Islands Park, Turtle Islands Heritage Protected Area since 1996. So we are happy with that, and we are happy with the support from the SEDIA as well as the STB for the attainment of this accolades. So last year, we also successfully organized the second Asia Parks Congress, which is under the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, the IUCN, and WCPR, World Commission on Protected Area. We successfully held in Kota Kinabalu, and resulting in the Kota Kinabalu Declaration KKD during the APC 2. So the 6 resolutions are nature-based solution for health and well-being, governance and of protected and conserved areas, connectivity and transboundary conservation, effective protected and conserved areas, economic and financial sustainability of protected area and conserved areas, where we belong this morning to this, the number 6 resolutions. And the last is urban conservation and a new generation. So the call to action for nature and people. We will expand our strategic plan up beyond the 2025, and we will use these solutions for the future of Sabah Parks. So we in Sabah Parks, we used to be carried away with a notion that Sabah Parks conserve nature for 1,000 years. If that is true, or if that is our ambition, meaning that so far we only fulfilled about 6% of that notion, and our target will be the year to 2964. So parks protection for sustainability development goals is in line with the SDG of the United Nations, and all are for the people. And the attainment of our vision is in 2025, people of Sabah will live in harmony with nature. And we are nearing that. Probably we already achieved that. And we have, for this purpose of our webinar, we have many reasons to invest here in Sabah Parks. Like my metaphor in the beginning of my presentations, it is like we have nectars, abundance of nectars for bees, investor to build honey, and we share the benefits of it. I thank you. Back to you, Nigel. Thank you very much.
With its varied and often nature-bound environment, Sabah is perfect for the adventure tourist. Our state truly is home to hidden gems waiting to be explored, and we thank Dr. McLaren for his insightful presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, we can now proceed to our question and answer session. My colleagues inform me that we have quite a few questions already lined up for our esteemed speakers. Those of you who still wish to submit questions, you are very much welcome to do so through the question and answer submission box. A brief reminder that when asking questions, please first introduce yourself as well as identify the company or organization that you represent. If possible, please also state which speaker that your question is directed at. Should there be any questions that remain unanswered by the conclusion of the event, don't worry, as we will have a response sent to you post-event. Right, so our first question is directed to Mr. Kevin, and it goes like this. Are there any specified incentives or benefits offered to investors who contribute to island tourism projects?
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I think there's two kinds of incentive. One is income tax exemption for 10 years. That was for 100%, or they can choose 100% investment tax allowance on qualifying expenditure. Let me go into what kind of activities that they are looking at. Actually, under SDC, we are looking at hotel or resort businesses. And if you choose to capitalize on the qualifying capital expenditure, the activities are actually construction or purchase of any hotel buildings of approved standard in Malaysia. B, alteration, extension, or renovation of hotel building. And 3, provision of machinery, plant, and other facilities. So these are actually, the activities that was promoted. Yeah. Besides that, I think I would like to touch that under the national agenda, our National Investment Promotion Agency, MIDA, also providing incentives of pioneer status for 70% of statutory income for 5 years for new projects. It is for new budget hotel and 1 to 3 star hotel. Yeah. Besides that, there are also theme park, recreational camp, convention center, and other projects categorized as tourism projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kevin. So the following question is for Dr. McLaren, and it goes like this. How does your destination address issues of over-tourism and strive to maintain a balance between tourism development and preservation of cultural and natural heritage?
Thank you, Nigel. Yeah, initially when we gazetted parks, actually it is for the fully protected area, we fully conserve that area. But we cannot do that because we need fund in order to protect or to conserve our area. So we open up a small area, like 30% of the parks, as a recreation zone, and we develop facilities for people to enjoy the park, and we charge money. We sell tickets we call it entrance fee or conservation fee. And through that money, we generate money, and we can do all the things related to the conservation of the parks. So we strike the balance between the two. We open up and then we preserve. But as far as of our experience since the last 60 years, we were quite successful in doing that. And because also the system of the management of the parks, we have the board as well as the management team. We work together in that, and we collaborate with the other agencies, especially under the umbrella of the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Environment. So we get quite a good protection while we want to get money. By the same time, we protect our place. Take, for example, the Sipadan Island. We managed Sipadan Island, I think, since 2005, and we were successful in conserving that area. Why? Because we limit the number of tourists or scuba diver to get to the Sipadan. And until now, the Sipadan is still in a healthy situation. If you talk about the nature of that particular fragile island. So that's my answer. Back to you, Nigel. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. McLaren. We now have a question for Madam Halima. So this question is quite long, so bear with me, everyone. It starts like this. India is among the top 6 tourist arrivals to Malaysia, and it is a massive and potential market for Sabah. We are trying to push Malaysian Borneo, especially for southern India. However, for Indian tourists, the main criteria of a destination is the availability of Indian food, which is limited in Sabah. Thus, quality Indian restaurants need to be available. It really is a chicken and egg situation. So how does the Sabah Tourism Board see this issue, and are there any plans to promote domestic restaurant investors to invest in this segment?
Okay. Thank you. I think that the question is from Mr. Razaidi of TM Chennai, right? Okay, for your information, India is actually our emerging market. And yes, we have a senior marketing manager in charge of this market. And we do see that the lack of Indian restaurant. Currently, we only have one, if I'm not mistaken, at the KK waterfront. We used to have one at the Oceanus, but I think due to pandemic, they were closed down. Perhaps, yes, we will look into this. We thank you for your questions. So we will discuss this with the Indian market team for plan to promote for investors to open up restaurants, Indian restaurants in Kota Kinabalu.
Right, thank you so much, Madam Halima. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we have gone through the questions submitted. For those who have questions that they wish to submit later, you can reach out to our team from the organizers. Thank you very much to everyone for being a part of our webinar this morning on Sabah's tourism opportunities where investment and leisure meet. I hope you come away from this with plenty of new and exciting information about Sabah, and that we will soon be welcoming your business expansion into this wondrous state. The SEDIA Investment Promotion Unit is at the ready to receive your inquiries about Sabah's economy and investment opportunities, and we can be reached through the contact details currently on screen. And with that, I wish everyone a pleasant day, and I hope you'll join us again in our future programs.